Today is one of our tutor conferences. We run them fairly regularly in the region, and they're about bringing tutors together to try to talk about the kind of key issues that the organisation's facing, and always involving some level of training and support about developing their skills and approaches as tutors. So we're trying to sort of get people together, share experience. That's a really big outcome for us, sharing experience, passing on good ideas and so on. And so that's the kind of thing that we try and do.
The really important thing is for us to be able to highlight particular issues, and for example the equality and diversity, it is a real issue that we're very keen to tackle, and it's really important for all our classes and for our staff. So it gives us an opportunity to get them together and to give them a little bit of training, let them see what sort of facilities are available and what kind of materials we've got available, and some of the resources that they can tap into, and give them a chance to give their views, tell us what they think.
I've actually applied to become a volunteer, so I'm kind of coming into the WEA as new. I do actually volunteer at another place in Salford, actually as a volunteer support tutor teaching IT, so that's the initial aim, to actually do that with the WEA.
It's about giving tutors the opportunity first to network, so they get a chance to meet other tutors that are doing sometimes the same subjects, and other times it's something completely different, so they haven't got anything in common in terms of the subjects that they teach, but sometimes it's the methods and the way in which they tackle an issue that helps them to get together and to share ideas and share good practice.
I was a full-time teacher for a number of years, and for comprehensive schools in North Wales and Cheshire, and then I took a retirement, and then I ended up teaching WEA classes and night classes and so on. And I've been doing this for about over 20 years now for the WEA. And I have students in Chester, that's why I'm based in Chester, but I live in North Wales.
So I'm a Skills for Life tutor, and I teach ESOL, literacy, and also started teaching Helping in Schools course and community interpreting.
What we hope is that sometimes when people meet and chat to each other, they buddy up, and sometimes even though they could be in different parts of the region, if they click with somebody, they keep that connection going afterwards, and they either email or they meet each other up again once they come to other events, and a sort of a support network builds up. So that's one of the things.
I've been with WA just over a year now, and I do computer training, and I'm now starting some employability courses and self-employment courses as well.
Today our theme's about equality and diversity, and how do we develop equality and diversity both in our practice as teachers and in the classroom, so that we're picking up issues of equality and diversity. And the workshops that are then intended to help people explore that. So there's a couple of themes going on in the workshops.
This was a workshop about equality and diversity. We've been looking at some of the resources that are available to all the tutors on the website. There's a lot of new resources on there that people might not have looked at yet, and we had some discussions around the topic. I think it will encourage people to explore the resources that are available on the website and pull things out that are relevant to their own subjects, things that are very subject specific that they can use, and things that are more generic that they can get some ideas from as well. Everybody joined in well, and the exercises went down very well. There was a lot of discussion, and a lot of people shared some very good ideas about best practice. I learned some things as well. Some people came up with some ideas that I thought, oh, I'm going to use that.
And I'm happy that WEA is practicing equality, diversity and inclusion, thereby challenging discrimination, and that's a good thing to emulate.
There's a couple of themes going on in the workshops. Mine, for example, we're doing something called critical action learning, and what we're trying to look at is ways of our tutors using approaches and techniques that help to develop greater understanding of the subjects through taking part in activities around research, in setting broader context.
There was a project I did that related to something that Greg was talking about that was really interesting, and we did a sort of external kind of outside the education thing, and we discussed kind of the background to where food came from, and the students really responded well to that. Actually, it was an interesting kind of diverse kind of avenue for a cookery course to take, just a discussion about the history of, I think we did Cornish pasties.
It's been very, very interesting actually, really kind of exceeded my expectations, very interesting, very relevant to the work that I'm doing in terms of embedding equality and diversity, looking at new technology, making it more active learning. So it's been really interesting in that sense.
It's been really useful. I thought Greg's opening statements and his paper was very interesting. It seemed to me like it was re-establishing what the WEA is all about, and I found that quite insightful and very useful.
Assumptions was also quite useful because it did make you sit up and think, hold on, is this right when you're looking at somebody, whether you're making the right decision about them or the wrong decision.
It's always good to put a face to the name, because for us as managers as well, sometimes if we don't manage a particular tutor, we don't know who they are, and we get to chat to people, find out what they do. Secondly, I suppose then it also gives people a chance to find out what the WEA do. For example, Greg's bit at the beginning about the vision and the mission and the values. Although people know that, or we assume sometimes that they know it, they've got a chance then to talk to people about what it means and find out what they really think and make it a bit more meaningful. And because we're like a dispersed organisation, it's not the same as colleges where you've got a tutor down the corridor or on the next floor. It's really important for us to get our tutors together and give them a chance to meet and to ask questions and to feel that they're part of it.
I've been working with WEA for about 8 years now, and I'm based up in Cumbria. I've just changed jobs, so I'm now working across the whole region, and that means that I get to come down to Manchester and Liverpool a bit more often, which is good.
I teach a huge variety of courses. I do cookery, jewellery, lots of healthy living, back to work courses, arts and crafts, quite a wide variety, and enjoy it, but it's very busy, very varied.
I plan to be a tutor with WEA because I did my PETUS with WEA, and I really enjoyed every bit of the lecture.
We did some active research courses which Greg was promoting a couple of years ago, and it tended to be a common theme with adults with physical disabilities that one of their biggest bugbears in life, a real barrier to them, was the blue badge parking scheme. And it wasn't that they couldn't get blue badges, they all had blue badges, and it wasn't that there weren't enough spaces, there are enough spaces. But what the problem was actually people abusing the system who weren't entitled to park in the blue badge spaces. So we decided that the best way actually to make a difference and combat this and sort of change the world, if you like, was to produce some conversation cards to take into other WA groups, other groups all over the country, to raise awareness and through education actually change things. And if it makes just one person a week think, I won't take that disabled space because it's not for me, then they've changed the world for somebody that space matters to. Because if you're disabled and you can't park in a disability space, actually you can't just sit and go round around the block. That there might not be a space available for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, you don't know. You just have to turn around and go home, and how frustrating is that?
With Richards, we're showing people now, we've got little sets of iPads and with a router so they can connect to the internet, and it's trying to get tutors to think about how they could use that technology and how they can bring that into the classroom, not just for the sake of it, but how it would really enhance what they're doing.
We've called it technology in the classroom, and it's largely about the use of tablet technology, which is quite new to the WEA. We've only got a limited resource, but we're hoping to have sets of 5 laptops or 5 tablets that we can sign out to tutors to use in their classes. Limited use only, probably 2 sessions or 2 weeks, so we can spread out the resource across the whole region. The sort of things we were looking at, using them for filming, for photography, and you can email directly from the tablet to your own email account or to mine. You can share straight to YouTube or the web, which is quite useful and quite innovative for the WEA. We've not done that sort of thing before. And also there's sets of applications that we've already purchased or installed around ESOL and English and maths and so on. But we're hoping tutors will find their own and install them. Hopefully the free ones, although they can have some funds to buy them if necessary. And also we've got the likes of YouTube and just generally the internet that they can use for teaching resources. BBC Skillswise, for example, is a useful resource. I also demonstrated the differences between, and the cost differences between the Apple devices such as the iPad and Android devices like the Google Nexus 7, which is less than half the price. So obviously, if we're buying them, we can put more of those in the classroom than we could if we used Apple devices. Whereas if the tutors are buying them themselves, maybe the Apple iPad is the better way to go because it's easier to use and it's more robust in many senses.
I found it very interesting actually. Some great sharing of ideas and some really useful resources that are going to be very helpful. The training in the iPad was fabulous because I need to learn how to use that more in my teaching.
I've always been fascinated by new technology, and it's taken the fear out. I thought it was going to be really complicated, but it's quite simple, and it's been amazing to see what sort of things we can do with it as well, you know, in terms of use it as a resource for our students, you know, recording videos, getting them to talk about, you know, each other's interviewing each other and comparing. So it's, in that sense, what we can do with iPod is amazing. And I like to be able to use that in my classroom.
The technology workshop that Richard's just done was interesting, the fact that the WA has now recognised technology exists and how we can use it to enhance learning, not only through using whizzy gadgets, but also actually as a platform for learning as well, so using technology to help people learn. So that's been really useful.
Quite useful for my subject, which is art and calligraphy, you know. So anything visual is useful for that, you know.
It's been great going around the different workshops because you get a chance to try different things. It's been really good to sort of mixing with people, other tutors, picked up loads of ideas. I've got loads of names now of people who I'm going to go back to and ask for different resources and things like that.
Technology workshop was brilliant. I've never had an iPad in my hand, so that was amazing. That was really good. Because we can bring it into the classroom. I teach Parekh, so you just think, clay, how are you going to incorporate modern technology into that? Well, I can say that will be useful, and it can really enthuse the students if they can, you know, if you can bring up, say, videos, demonstrations of other potters.
One of the big things that has come up, and it came up at the last conference as well, is that there actually seems to be not enough opportunity for tutors who are working in the same area to meet and get together and share ideas. That for me is a huge vacuum at the moment. So I've met a couple of people who are doing similar courses to me, and yet we didn't even know each other existed. So I think if there's anything to learn from something like today, is that perhaps WA needs to think about how do we capture the resources we have and actually help people work together collaboratively rather than everyone doing their own courses in their own turf, if you like. So I think there's some work to be done there.
It's very much about networking and sharing practice. We're strongly in support of that happening. The organisation wants to see, but particularly in the WEA where you can be quite isolated. It's something that helps to bring people together, so we're very keen on that, yeah.
I think the intention today was really to get people thinking about how we can be a bit more proactive with our learners, about raising issues around equality and diversity. So hopefully, I hope what it means is it's given people lots of ideas around activities to get them thinking about the impact of what they can do and the difference they can make in the lives and attitudes of other people.
I'm not teaching constantly all the time, you know, but it does enable you to meet other people who are doing the same kind of thing but in a different way perhaps. And again, you can learn from each other.
And the technology was quite useful as well. So overall, it's been useful, and it's also given me a lot of food for thought.
Doing work that's around sort of doing more active research in the classes, trying to get all of our students involved in individual research in setting broader contexts, and also trying to engage with people, becoming more active as a result of the course, taking on little activities in the community and so on, all of which we think are really good learning approaches and which fit in neatly with themes like equality and diversity, because you can use those kinds of key themes which are often really good for discussion to get people sort of working around and talking about. So that's what we try and do, and then we hope that people use those discussions to take back into the classroom and think about how they do their teaching and learning. So that's our sort of approach really.
I've met some wonderful tutors today. In fact, we've been exchanging contact details, so at least we can share good practices and be a support really. Just feel like one big family. And I got to meet Greg today as well. I've seen his name everywhere. He's such a nice person, very inspirational, and really looking forward, you know, to working with him.
So today's program really went on fine. The attendance was okay. All the facilitators, they really did good job, and even the tutors, the volunteers, there's cooperation, and people were ready to share information. They were ready to give information, and that is the most important thing. When you are in a training program and people are ready to share information is very useful.
There are a lot of more retired people taking classes now than there used to be, because there are far more, there's far more about them, and they're looking for something to do.
Today has been brilliant, meeting other people, meeting other tutors, organisers, learning a bit more about the WEA's organisation.
If the WEA can open more people's eyes, then hopefully it can be a good thing, and maybe society will become a better place for it.